this works with the thing that you were aiming for as well. Like with what you were thinking of, Maddie, I think it fits. Are we back? We good?
Yeah, we're back.
We are.
We're back.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
So my idea was that, what if the component to fill the spell is that the person casting it, or one of the people that it's being cast on, is the so-called tuning fork, and to get the right frequency to go there, you had to have gone there previously or have a link to something or someone very powerful on that plane.
Yeah, I think that's
so,
what
like,
Maddie was saying.
Yeah.
Like, for example, Bright could cast it to go back to the Feywild because Bright's been there before. Could do it to go back to Oiho because Bright's been there before. Possibly, maybe to go to Acanthus because we have a cleric of Ouijas there in the party, and that's where Ouijas lives.
Maybe. Maybe.
That's sort of a stretch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that would require maybe assistance from Mordecai. Like, maybe Mordecai has to succeed on divine intervention or something to enable that. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what Maddie was getting at. Is if the plot enables you to go to a plane, you can go there with plane shift. Otherwise, you can't.
Yeah, I get, if you're going there for a particular reason that is relevant to your character or the group's goals or the stories you've observed, I'm fine working with you. Like, for example, I don't know.
So we need to go back to hell to get Fenry.
You possibly, if
And
you
a
wanted
giant
to,
coin.
if you wanted to go to the, I mean, it was to the caves, but effectively to the Feywild, because you wanted to experiment on that crystal that they were growing, then you could go back there. Because otherwise, you had to have gone into that place that was, that giant grove. There's a special portal, and that's what brought you there originally. But you've been there. You have an awareness of it. I mean, Norallie has a manifestation of that crystal in her body already.
She does.
Because she didn't completely convert; just a part of her did. And so you have, you would have a reason because you've experienced it. You want to play around with it, and as your DM, I am happy to let you go there and to play around with it. Now, I can't promise everything you do is going to be absolutely relevant and lore, lore bombs, and you've uncovered the secret every pebble that you overturn. But I won't keep you from going there, and I think we can have an interesting time revisiting those old locations. Because who knows what's happened in the meantime? Maybe nothing. Or if we're talking about Oiho, there could be a lot of stuff that's happened. Because for them, it could already be 50 years that passed. And what's developed in between that time.
I would say unless there's something specific that we're going there for, we're probably going to avoid that.
Yeah, it's probably not for a sightseeing tour.
Although if we did ever manage to end up going to Acanthus, that would be heartbreaking for Mordecai.
Because he'd see her.
So that's a consideration. But no, currently I want to see if the old Chitahari magic infused stuff will work on Shonaruth type stuff.
I want to see if anything I can do that too.
Well, if you want to go hunting for that sort of stuff, you have a couple options. Swinging the tour eastward toward Ucht. Ucht is... Oh, we only get one of those per week. Ucht is...
full of...
yeah, Ucht is full. That doesn't rhyme, but it's full. Yes, I'm sorry to report, Bright, but Ucht has been turned into a jungle swamp. A lot of there's just fleshy mass everywhere. Of note, However, and might have almost an eerie resemblance to because if I recall correctly, Bitopia it's a big tree, right?
No, Bitopia's kind of like an O'Neill cylinder. And then you look up and the other half of the world is above you. And then if you're on the other half of the world, you look up and the other half of the world is above you.
Oh, well then what realm was I thinking of? Huh.
I think Isgard is the one that's the big tree.
Yeah, with Yggdrasil and all that.
You're not thinking Isgard, you're thinking Arborea.
Arborea. Okay, yeah.
Oh, that could be it too.
Yeah. Well, still, you like trees, and there's a lot of them. Most of them, I mean, a good portion are still the same, but there's also a lot of these flesh trees, including one ginormous one. Like this is the mother of all flesh trees is located in Ucht. I'll drop it on the map, but just know that it's down here.
Yeah.
And this seems to be like the epicenter of this creeping mass that's been spreading over hill and over dale and
Poor
along
Dale.
the dusty trail.
It makes sense how close it is to the crater.
Yeah. I would like to do more investigating of the flesh trees. I don't know. Maybe we could go take out that one in
Green Shield.
in Green Shield, just as
Yep.
like a practice tree.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if we hadn't screwed it up the first time, we maybe could have taken it out then. But now that we're more prepared, maybe we can win it. We know that there's like the roving flesh monster in Ucht. That boy, did we got a scare by that one. And
It was a good thing you had a prophetic vision of that.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, very, very scary vision. So let's be careful with those. Make sure that we're all prepared. No split parties. No unprepared spells. No horsing around if we go tangle with those flesh creatures.
That's right. No over worrying and stressing out over pandemics that are causing you to make irrational decisions and just all kinds of stuff to.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm greater restoration in my back pocket for all of that.
Well, maybe we can get a flight over to Mazamaska to do that, and we can rain hell upon it from above, from the Repentless.
I'm not sure that we can rain hell from above, but I think my guess is Seltur's probably going to take us to Mazamaska anyway.
I mean, I can
she heard
rain
that it's-
lightning from above.
She heard it's the one place where they have softer beds than she does.
That is the momentum leaning. If it's a 51-49, that's all the more reason for her to go there. Just know that she's not doing you any favors per se. So if you want her to take you somewhere, odds are there will be some sort of a price that she will either get herself, and if you don't like her methods, come back with something for her to make it worth her while. Otherwise, she's happy to
I mean,
fly
Cypher can
through the
just fade
skies
black
and
with
eat
her
stuff.
again.
What's that?
Wow. Okay.
So instead of a kite, we strap Cypher to the bed, and then okay, never mind. That's
Selling Cypher's body now, are we?
So yeah, Ucht is a. That's the state of it. Most gnomes are presumed dead or scattered. Many of the surviving gnomes are now in Aslandia. That way, the forest gnomes and the rock gnomes have sort of reunited as cousins, and have tried to escape all the horrible stuff going on right here in this corner. So, that being said, too, Aslandia, and I'll get to the overview, but Aslandia is like Fey Central right now, because that's where the elves are, and that's where the gnomes are, and you know what country's right next to Aslandia is Fallfire. That's why we're seeing a lot of monsters coming up north and rounding out this way. At least the land-bound monsters. There's been a lot of aquatic monsters that have been coming out along the south. And then there's flying monsters just, hither and thither.
Everywhere.
They're sand gnomes now. Yes, they've fused.
No, what I'm thinking is, I know something that we can bribe Seltur with to take us to Mazamaska. It's very simple. We're going there specifically to test weapons against the flesh trees. Information that would be very useful to Seltur.
Well, I don't think we have to give her anything to get us to take her to Mezamaska, because that's where we're already going. But,
Yeah, we are already headed
I-
there.
but
I'll effectively give now if you're as long as you understand she's going to acquire these sheets somehow, unless you promise to give them to her yourself.
no, that's fine. She's
I'll-
trying to take them from the flower field, so I'm fine with that.
But I'll effectively give you a free trip over to Mezamaska because of that excellent role playing.
Yeah, we're just gonna breathe. Well, we're just gonna. Now that's a thing. Does the Repentless still have its acid dump?
Oh yes,
Good.
it's its stomach. It
It barfs.
well not even that. It could just open up and just
Yeah, because that was the thing that it could do
Mm-mm.
before this. But no, I think that'll be where we head to try and test out the stuff on the flesh tree, gather our allies in Mezamaska. And if we find out what works, then we can go and sell it to the Shadowhall. Basically, I'm just like, we can work the system.
Now, I will say, Oct, while it has a gelatinous coating over a lot of it, Oct was a great place of learning. There's a lot of knowledge there that might have been left behind as the gnomes were being hunted and converted, including there is a place that before you disappeared just was discovered in the jungle. It was some sort of like a temple going into the mountain, and the gnomes were curious about it too. People who went in weren't reported to necessarily come back out, and then of course the plague of flesh had struck, and whatever was in this ancient place is presumably still not discovered. Seltur and thereby DJ tells you that they don't even know, and they haven't exactly tried. But there is a place in the mountain that was left behind, along with other places here if you wanted to brave the things that live, if they live. I mean, this is unliving. We can at least comprehend that. This is just the things that exist. If you wanted to brave it, you might be able to go and, I mean, I don't want to say like plunder, but you are taking things that belong to the people.
Knowledge.
But those people probably aren't alive, or if they are, they're just another mouth on a flesh tree somewhere. They probably don't mind if you go in and take their things. But there's a lot of wealth there as well if you're willing to risk it. Wealth of knowledge or physical items or magical items or etc.
After we figure out whether or not we can actually harm the flesh trees, then we can potentially look into going to Ox, because if we can't do anything about them, we're not going there.
Yeah, I think that's a thing. We'll do our
That's
testing
order of
first.
operations here.
Yeah, we'll do our testing first, and if we can figure out a way to hurt them, or if we have a way to hurt them, then we can go and plunder that knowledge and see if we can gather other things. Because there's no point in going in there if we're just going to get swarmed and die, right?
That's my thinking.
We
Especially since there's a big bad tree down in Ox anyway.
we continue the tour now, turning north. The crater is still there. It's still throwing off a ton of wild magic effects, and in fact, a very primeval forest. Not even just the shrubberies and grasses of the north here, but this forest is described to you in a way that reminds you of the one that opened up that the Fomorians went through. Like the size of the trees, everything is just primeval and gigantic and foreign in their ancientness. As this has sprouted, and these are like 200-foot tall trees that have manifested over the course of 2 years. And so there's this very old growth, and beyond that, a lot of fall fire has had its terrain changed because there's so much weather coming down, whether it's cold winds and or rains and snows. The people of Fall Fire, I mean, if you're not undead or have fey blood, then you've been you've been mostly left alone. I mean, the monsters might still attack, because not all of them want to convert you. Some are just things that wander around. There's just a lot to... people have gone missing. There's these weird mushrooms that people have encountered that stalk people. And do bad things to their heads. So Fallfire is chaotic. A lot of gnomes made their way to Aslandia through here, which is probably why you found gnomes over here that tried to mount a resistance against this weird metal-headed woman. But unfortunately, it ended up as it did. The wild magic zone of here also has extended further, and it is out a little bit ways into the sea and is pretty much accompanying the border of the forest. So you are outside of it right here, and you're told that the Skyshatter Leviathan seems to be guarding the crater. It is anytime there's some sort of a threat, an airship, even if it's a little patrol one, it seems to be able to manifest, and it floats around rather harmlessly. It doesn't try and track anyone down. It doesn't seem to be like, oh, that Shadowheart ship shot at me a month ago, I'm gonna go get it. It's just sort of on a protective roam around the crater to keep people or things away. And of course that means that Seltur wants whatever's in there all the more, because she can't have it, because this thing keeps showing up. Now she can fly like close and kind of interact, because it doesn't necessarily recognize her. It doesn't see her as a threat unless she threatens it. But when she gets too close, it does then go into an attack mode. But unlike other ships, she can almost be like a remora on a shark, and just kind of cruise along, and it doesn't notice her, or at least it doesn't consider her a threat. But she wants it gone, and I think a lot of other people do too, including the Shadowheart, so take that for consideration.
Yep, that's on the to-do list.
Again, in semi-character, is there any information that DJ can give us about the Leviathan? Like, what do we know about it?
Magic doesn't work against it. Physical damage does appear to damage, like to cause it harm. It gets its attention, and it sticks close to the crater. It's not rumored to have flown over any other place. It doesn't fly over Uct, except like the little bit of intersection where the crater's touching down here. No one in Mezamaska would have seen it, Kandor, etc. So this just seems to be some kind of a crater manifestation, or a guardian, something along those lines.
Okay.
The last broad note, and I have a couple other notes that I had meant to type up to give you a little bit, well, we're talking bird's eye, because of course this is coming from the Repentless and DJ and Seltur's observations. But a couple other things, like the notes on Kandor about, well, the dragons are being very aggressive, and they're the ones who stepped up in government, sort of displacing the orcs, and so forth. But Aslandia, Face Central right now, filled to the brim with gnome refugees. So there's gnomes and elves there. They've gained a lot of land because of the ocean levels lowering, and the desert has become a lot less hostile. Well, in terms of just being so dry and open and heated, because now it's a corridor for a lot of this Arctic air to just flow down freely, and it's as it's intersecting with the humidity of this inner sea, it's causing a lot of rain, it's causing a lot of snow, and that's what's really caused the desert to bloom and to turn into a little bit more of a grassland, or at least to go from a pure desert to a wasteland where there's scrub brush and whatnot. So I painted it green. Don't think it's necessarily like, oh, fertile fields as far as the eye can see, and suddenly the desert is all, fertile farmland where we'll make a living growing whatever seeds were brought up from Uct. But it is a lot more lively. However, because of that, and all the different terrain, you're getting a lot of monsters from Fall Fire that are presumably crawling out of the crater, or were created there. And so it's a very, very monster-infested place. And the residents of Aslandia very much know that for especially the fleshy, mouthy ones, they are targets. They seem to almost exclusively hunt them. Now, this being said, there's not really a lot of the draw from these creatures has been north. And so while I did say that this is becoming more of an undead central, there's not a lot of activity that has been going on here for whatever reason. A lot more of these creatures that are seemingly only hunting the Fae and the undead, or at least more exclusively preferring them. Not that they won't, incorporate other people, but they're more drawn up this way, up this broader swath of land. So yeah, this area, and of course being filled with elves and gnomes, it has made life more interesting because not only are people more jam-packed in, but you have these two Fae races that have a lot of inherent magic, and it's causing problems because a lot of these wildflowers are blooming. And so even without the monsters that have been moving in and pursuing and establishing themselves here, the fact that daily life, which used to incorporate a lot more, even if it's low-level magic, is now complicated because of the proximity. So they try and reap as many of these flowers as possible. And in fact, you have a weird, almost tragic point where elves and gnomes are trying to destroy as much like plant life and flowers as possible, almost to go back to this barren desert, because it was actually safer in many ways, especially for the practice of magic, which is just like an innate part of them. So yeah,
it's only like a 1 in 50 chance of conjuring up a fireball.
Yeah, but then when you have a population of like 1 million or something, that's a lot of fireballs. But anyway, that's a broad overview of the obvious and emergency conditions in each of the countries. There are some more subtle things that if you go to a place and you want to explore it, either from a bird's eye view, but you're just paying attention, or you actually want to go on the ground level and politic or hunt monsters or do whatever, you'll learn more. But that is the broad, the Repentless eye view of the state of Mesotopia right now. Also, real quick, lethality. Are you good on time, or do we need to wrap this up in 15 minutes?
I'm good for 45 minutes.
For 40, are the rest of you good for 45, or do you need to go at 2?
I'm good to go as long as we go.
Yeah, I can probably do
just a little bit.
That's probably okay.
Okay.
I guess that's out of character. I can do 2:30. Sorry, my bad.
Well, no, I mean, Bright was probably thinking of something too. It's you're in this study here, in this sort of like grisly trophy room here, and because you're poring over the map, and DJ's here talking to you, and I don't know, Bright's it's just like I could probably, maybe you're calculating funds. You're like, I could probably go like 230 on this one. That's it can translate.
No, I imagine that Bright is studying with the professor, because boy, do I have a lot of questions about level 8 spells and how they might work in this game.
So you have the overview. This is a broad. Now, talking out of character as well, DM to players. Here is a smattering of potentially interesting things. That could be combat. That could be dungeon style stuff. That could be hex crawly. That could be political or social in some way. I kind of just, given the extrapolation of the way things were going, as well as you kind of, there were clues this whole time as you were discovering with Jade and whatnot that you had talked about in the prior session, things that have come to fruition. But I shotgunned some potential directions for you to go. If you want to do something else that I didn't put in front of you, you're welcome to pursue it. I mean, let me know so I can think about it and plan for it. But I'm not... I don't know where you're going to go or what you're going to want to do. You might love the undead angle. You might want to leverage, because you're talking enemy of my enemy. Maybe you want to leverage enemies against each other or something along those lines. You want to forge alliances. Remember, there's also that whole Operation Welcome Mat that's going on. And that's being sponsored up in Candor, by the way. Well, it's multinational. Candor is wants to be the ones to make that push up there. It's like the starting point. Maybe you want to explore that as a route too. I don't know, but I'm willing to adapt as you now are going to have the chance to play around in this sandbox some, feel out a direction. Maybe something works for you, maybe something doesn't. So I'm like eye contact. Well, I guess eye contact would be over here in this other camera. Eye contact. There's no one way to proceed. I'm not hoping that you're gonna take one of these as your adventure hook. Because frankly, I don't know, and you could come back and say, oh, how about this? And I never thought of it, and it absolutely makes sense. So there are things that I could deliver that are there directly in front of you, but don't be afraid to think outside the box and move forward, and if your goals shift, they shift.
I think we have an idea, I guess, where we want to start. Unless somebody has another idea.
Nope. Currently, the big thing is going to be figuring out how do we hurt these things.
Yeah.
Because there's no point gathering allies together if we don't have weapons to fight.
So, that will be our first step before we can really make any other decision.
So that's where we're going to start.
Very likely that we're also not going to be very effective again.
Which if we're not, that means we have to go find a way to be effective. If we are, then we can start selling that.
I'm also afraid of losing more people because I don't want to lose any of you.
Norallie and I have turned out to be pretty tough to kill.
We're a good duo.
So those are our choices right now.
Yeah.
Shall we start?
Some big choices, some big moves, and fingers crossed, nobody dies.
Well, I mean,
I'm prepared
none
for
of
it.
us. The other people can die. That's okay. The bad guys.
I'm also prepared for it this time.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can. I mean, when we get there, maybe we can pick some flowers and get ourselves ready. I don't know. I mean, there's lots of things we can try.
An experiment.
Yeah, it'll be
Experiment,
fun.
Professor. Right, Professor?
Mm-hmm. Exactly right.
How are you feeling about all this, Norallie?
I mean, I mean, the experimenting part seems smart because I don't want to have to do all the work. Because like last time we fought the tree, I did like all the damage, and then we had to just run away.
Yeah.
And then Jade died.
That was the thing that happened.
Well, luckily we're not here to fight it and kill it. We're here to see if we can damage it at all.
Oh, I think we can kill it. I think we should try to make that our #1 priority. But also, I mean, we know it does mind control, and we know it's worse for me. So I'll probably need to stay out of range, or I don't know. We'll
You
see.
should give
We'll
me a mind control helmet.
we'll see if I have any visions. Those are always helpful.
Well, how exactly do we prevent you from any of us being targeted by that kind of mind control? Because
We target it from range. A long range.
I don't exactly have a way to keep you all from getting mind controlled.
No, but there's lots of stuff we can do. I mean, we don't know if maybe it can't cast its maybe its mojo doesn't work if it's in an anti-magic field. That would potentially be pretty strong against it. Maybe
That's an idea.
maybe we can pick up. Maybe Seltur will loan us. I don't know. Maybe she has one. Maybe she doesn't. A helm of mind shielding. There's lots of stuff we can do.
Sound a feasting horn.
And if we can prepare ourselves with proper wild magic, we can we'll be able to damage it hopefully, and maybe we can kill it before it can do anything bad to us.
Well, I'm pretty sure I can conjure a dinner that might actually be sufficient in helping some of that.
A dinner.
Sounds good right now. Actually.
I mean, I like dinner as much as the next gnome.
It seems I've come into a lot of things that may or may not be useful. Much like Celine. Some of the things that she could do.
I see.
Yeah.
How can you do that?
I don't know. I gave up a lot of things to be like her, in a way.
How?
We all transformed.
Well, I mean,
He wishes.
okay.
I'm a little more like a cleric now.
I see.
I'm not a performer anymore.
Not at all? I mean, you were the star of the show.
I mean, I can still play my violin, but
We
that's
can do magic effects again to make it all pretty.
Yeah, I mean, that was so much fun.
I mean, there's that, but it's not going to be the same. I don't exactly have. I don't know if you find my playing to be inspiring to that point, but I don't come nearly that good anymore.
Well, that's too bad. I came back almost the same. Except for my floof is back. You can't see it, but it's back.
I did a lot of changing.
And you look mostly the same.
I mean, there's this black streak that came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel closer to Ouija's.
I can't tell if I should be happy or sad.
I'm happy for it.
Well, then I'm happy too.
I feel like it's closer to what I want to be.
So, tell me more about this dinner. I don't remember Celine being that good of a cook.
That might have been the skill she picked up in the desert that we didn't really get to explore. But I don't know. It's a dinner that kind of bolsters your resolve.
So there's like whiskey with it.
Sure, if that gives you the stones to be able to take things head on, then yes. But I don't exactly have it ready. I think I'd have to sleep on it.
Well, that's okay. I mean, we don't really need it right now anyway. There's not really anything. I don't know. I mean, Seltur has some good food here. It's just not special. It's just regular old food.
Yeah.
But it's really nice.
We can prepare for it.
Yep, and there's also the matter of it's going to take a little while to get to Metamasca, so...
Norallie, you still really haven't said much.
Yeah, I'm not good at the planning aspect of things. I just like to do it.
Well, how do you feel about doing it then?
Yeah, we can do it. It just zap things. A little spark of electricity just pops off her horns. Just zap things.
We never did ask.
Ask what?
Never did ask if this is something you want to do.
I mean, getting rid of Shonruth will probably help out my brother, so I do want to do it.
That's the hope. In the meantime, though, you're like a little sister to me. I never had a sister. I'm an only child. So,
I
there's
never
that.
had a sister either. I only had my brother.
I'm a temporary brother then.
You're... I wouldn't say a lot like him, but you're similar to him. Well, how he used to be. He's started acting weird.
In what way?
Well, he always looked out for me and made sure that I was okay, but then, I don't know. He got distant and then went a little kooky, and then, when I found him back in Mask of Horns, he was just like, oh no, don't come near me, blah, blah, blah. And then I had to blast him off. And that wasn't fun.
Maybe he was trying to keep you from having to deal with the Shonruth thing. Much like Jade was trying to keep that away from Jacob.
Possible. But, he could...
And now if we don't
just
deal
talk
with
to
it, the
me
whole
about it.
world could be weird.
Yeah, everything is weird now.
Yeah. And he just kind of walks over to her and just gives her a hug.
Oh.
Hug.
I missed you, kiddo.
I missed you too. I mean, I was kind of there, but I couldn't talk to you guys.
Yeah, that's the worst. Just watching.
Yeah. If I could talk to you guys, I would have yelled at you a few times.
Probably deserved it.
Yeah. Just like...
I think I deserved it.
Norallie was always there watching, so
Always watching.
Oh, well,
Always.
What about you, Bright? You feeling good about this?
I think so. I don't know what else we can do. We have to we have to do our best.
Many fall in the face of chaos, but not this one.
I feel pretty good,
Not
though.
today.
I feel like we're ready to take on the world. And we might have to. Literally.
Seems like quite literally, yes. Because Shonaruth is a thing that came from the sky and apparently can survive lots of hazardous environments, maybe. What in the world is beyond the sky?
Or sky, I think.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
I don't know. Maybe that's the secret to it all, is finding out where Shonaruth came from. Maybe we can just send him back. Maybe we don't have to kill him.
That would be some powerful send back juju.
Yeah? We'll find out the answer.
I think so too. Because if it doesn't, the whole region's not going to exist.
My guess is the Leviathan. The great thing about the Leviathan is it tells us exactly where to go. I mean, we know that whatever it's guarding must be important.
Yeah. Ultimately, we'll have to go back to the crater
Yeah.
and see what's underneath it. And we might all die in a fire.
Yeah. That's one thing about having my body back is I used to be immune to fire and now I'm not.
Yeah. I think that's... I don't know that I'm resistant to fire anymore.
Really? How can you not be?
I don't know, I feel different, but it feels right.
Huh. Never heard of a tiefling who's not resistant to fire. Unless you're like an ice tiefling now, but you don't look like one.
I feel like I'm made of light or something. I
think maybe you've been awake way too long.
Maybe I'm going a little crazy. Oh, I'm hungry. Damn.
Maybe you're back on the Lucifers.
Ooh.
I no.
You better not be, because that stuff can make you go blind.
As I've been told. And I was addicted for that long enough. I don't plan on going back on that train.
Oh, that's good.
Not even to experiment?
No. Because I know that as soon as I take that first little vial, I'm probably going to have to deal with some kind of addiction. And, better safe than sorry. I could use some food, though. That's a strangely normal sensation. I'm hungry.
Yeah, you gotta get used to that again.
For
Replace
food.
the BL with an F now.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird thing for me, too. I mean, I haven't eaten in like 1,000 years. Except for that banana, it was pretty good.
You're both rather disturbing. Did you know that?
What? And you're not, Professor?
Did I say that?
I mean, you say that like it's an unusual thing.
No. Simple observation, nothing more.
Says the man who walks around in armor that manifests on its own. I have to take mine off and put it back on again. You don't.
Well, it's because I've become efficient. As the children would say, get good.
That's a new turn of phrase.
I don't think we actually say that anymore.
Well, I don't know. I haven't been a child for a very long time.
Exactly.
You certainly look like you are one, though.
Excuse you. I looked
You
like
look
this in my late
younger than me.
20s. I looked like this in my late 20s.
I'm 32. You. I'm older than you.
Oh.
technically.
Oh, look. Well, no. You have not existed for longer than I have.
Maybe not literally, but in appearance, maybe.
Tiefling ages are weird. What?
Really, we age the same rate as humans.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with just living to be like 80 or 100.
Oh, 100 would be nice. Nice even number.
I remember when I was 100. That was a fun day.
So much banana rum and regretted decisions.
Immortality is all it's cracked up to be. Just putting that out there. You become a parasite.
I could use immortality.
Fuck off, no.
Not vampirism, immortality. There's a difference.
That goes against the laws of life and death, my friend.
Well,
Yes, but
technically just the
someone-
laws of death.
Yes. But remember that the laws of death also account for one who must be around to chronicle everything. Someone has to remember.
Well, that's what books are for.
Oh, but pages decay. God, I know pages decay. We had a silverfish infestation in the library once. It was a terrible time. We lost hundreds of very valuable tomes to those little parasites.
Says the man who may or may not become a parasite on society if he becomes immortal.
No.
Remember,
The thing is this, Mordecai. If I become immortal, I will become a chronicler of the ages. I won't be a part of society any longer.
and the Lady of Death will take exception to that.
And then if the Lady of Death does take exception of that, she can come and talk to me about it. She's not above such things. But someone must remember. Someone must always remember. Someone must remember who it is that we were. Someone must remember that Shonaruth came and went. Once we sent him packing, of course. Someone must remember the exploits of Orlands, of Merkuri, of the Shadowhar Empire, of Kandor, of Islandia, of the land of Ukt, and their love of bananas.
I mean, there's more to us than bananas.
Yeah, they
yeah,
have these really gummy fruits. I don't know what they're
Yeah.
called. Were they gummy?
Oh yeah, yeah. Wasn't that?
They're really
I
nice.
remember when. Oh, now I'm reminiscing. It's all your fault.
That's not the
I have been to Ukt. I know they are about a lot more than bananas, but someone must remember all of these things, chronicle all of these things, and be
But you
around
know,
to
you
share
just
them
Rewrite things.
with
You
others.
gotta be immortal. The ship.
You know what I mean? Someone must be around to share this information with the next generations.
until
Because,
weapons are created.
someone must be around to chronicle the legends of the past, of the future. Because maybe, just maybe, if someone was there to do that for us, in the position that we were in, maybe we wouldn't have suffered like we have. We would know about those who came before us. we would see change on the horizon and be able to protect ourselves from it.
But that's
Or
children's
embrace it.
stories. Children's stories tell of dragons and of the exploits of adventurers and
Yes, but
none
no
of
one
the
ever
engagements
believes.
of children.
Yes, but no one believes these things except for children, and then weirdly we find that reality is so much stranger than fiction. Someone must remain to tell these stories. Not just as stories, but as things that actually happened. For once, the world deserves to remember its history. Because no one does, except for those who were there to see it. That must change.
But that's what stories are for.
Yes, and look where that got us. It's not a matter of stories anymore. Someone must remain to be a chronicler of the ages. So that for there to be one person that if I am ever found, they can ask me and go, did this really happen? Are the stories true? And I can go, yes, my child, they are true. This happened. These things happened.
I mean, in that case, why don't we just have a bunch of people be immortal? That's a lot. That's a lot to do by yourself, you know.
And it would take the rest of time itself. But we would be able to chronicle the time where I turned into a 100-foot giant and walked out of the Fallfire crater. We would be able to chronicle the Arct and its downfall and its resurrection, hopefully. Stories can't just remain stories anymore. Because that's how we ended up like this. We had to go on nothing but hearsay and legend and myth. The world needs someone like that. Someone who can lend credence, lend to the truth of things without distortion. Because books decay. Stone decays eventually. It erodes away under the slings of weather. So someone must exist who doesn't erode under these slings of time.
But with that comes pain.
And that is a price I am willing to pay.
You'll watch
I don't
everyone,
expect-
you'll watch everyone that you love decay.
A lot of them already have. I know that this is an inevitability.
So clinical.
When I was a young man, when I was actually this age, I learned very quickly that most people aren't destined to live forever. We are born, we live, we die, and that is the general cycle of things.
It's a natural cycle.
It is. Some people must defy that cycle to fulfill a purpose. There are some who do. Look at the couple of dragons that existed. long after the Age of Dragons.
that don't.
Mr. Halva, Symphonix. Well,
Yeah, but they're kind of dead. Well, I don't know about Symphonix, but Mr. Halver. So,
yes,
like, they're not immortal
I know
either.
that Mr. They are not immortal.
There's
But
a
they are
difference
fine.
between long-lived and immortal.
I am aware. But there are those who live way so long past their prime in order to fulfill a purpose. And I am simply to become one of them. So that eventually, when the world heals from its scars, we'll be there to warn them. To tell them of the things that happen so that they may learn from the mistakes of us and our forebears. Because we didn't. And look where we are. I use a royal we, by the way. Generally. A very royal we.
I sometimes wonder if all of this is our fault.
What do you mean?
If we didn't
No.
make certain choices that
There is
it
no
wouldn't have
point.
ended up like this.
There's no point in thinking in that manner. Even if it were the truth, which it's not. There's no point in thinking like that. Would you like to know why?
Concentrating
Because
too much in the past.
Well, no, it's because it doesn't matter what choices we made, eventually this would have eventuated. Because beings like Shonaruth, like Weejas, like Merkuri, like Olans, they don't change. They're constants. And so the circumstances would have eventuated that this would have happened anywho. If it wasn't us, and again I use Chroma Company as a whole, us four, Celine, Casimir, Investigator Stillwaters, the ones that Celine talked about in her book. What were the names? I believe Raphael and Tazray.
Yeah.
Seltur.
Well, I'm not sure if those three were ever actually really part of Chroma Company, because we didn't start calling it Chroma Company till I joined.
Yeah, and Selter was really more of a mercenary, but I think she was part of the group as well.
I felt
But
like
still-
she was becoming part of it.
We're still there regardless. It doesn't matter for how long.
And like, if we did all a group picture, they wouldn't be in it.
Even
think they would be.
in
Tazzer was
Even-
important. Raphael was important. Is important still, maybe. Jade was important. All of them.
Exactly. If it wasn't us, then it would have been another group. Either deliberately or if they stumbled into it. And that is a statistical certainty. And so there's no point thinking like that. We are at the inevitable end of the cycle that we, as creatures who live in this world, were placed in. The difference is that unlike most others, we have the power to actually break it. We have the power to build a new world. A better world. So,
The sacrifices have to be worth it.
the sacrifices have to be worth it. And there's only one person who can make that. There is only one group of people who can make that be the case. And at this point, I see only one obstacle standing in our way.
We're gonna kill a god. Maybe.
We're going to kill the thing that should not be.
It's been accusing everything else that it shouldn't be.
Thank you, Dark Wolf. I love that. But this is the world that we're looking at.
Well, we're gonna be big damn heroes. Who knows? Maybe we'll all die. Maybe that's fatalistic.
No. Fatalism is being content in the fact that everything is predetermined. No, right now we stand at a turning point. If we die, we die, and we don't have to worry about it. If we don't die, and we beat him, well, we'll take it as it comes. For right now, I think we have some flesh trees to take out some rather pent-up frustrations out on. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, Shunnerith took Jade.
Jade. Took Jaden. From what I'm hearing, he also took your brother, Norallie.
Yeah.
Took Bright's people.
And mine have been living under Shunnerith's shadow for eons. Since he fell.
Bright's been very quiet during this discussion.
So we know what we need to do. Let's do it.
Mordecai kind of just looks around the room. This got very serious. And I don't know about all of you, but I could go for some dinner.
Yeah, dinner would be nice. All I had was cookies yesterday. I mean, they were good cookies, but still.
I see you haven't changed your eating habits.
I mean, cookies are really good, okay?
At this point, live in the moment. Seltur accused me of living too much in the past, and I think it's time we celebrate. We're all out of hell. We've got Norallie.
Yes.
And from what I can tell, I'm alive again. That's something to celebrate.
Your heart beats in your chest. We went to literal hell and came back. You brought a friend of yours back to life.
Damn,
How many people can say that they've done that?
not many. I can name one. And her name was Celine.
And as it's turning out, Celine was one of very, very few.
Yes.
And thus, we celebrate. And I don't think Seltur will mind expending some resources to make that happen, for the simple fact of, well, she strikes me as the kind of woman who likes a bit of good old-fashioned hedonism. Would I be wrong about that?
I mean, you'd probably know better than anyone.
She's definitely very hedonistic. Definitely a person who lives in the moment and in the moment only. No forethought, no hindsight. She takes what she wants when she wants it.
Yes, she does.
As you say that, there's a disembodied voice that simply goes, "All right, y'all convinced me. We're going to Mesotopia."
Mesomaska, you mean?
I'm sorry. We're all going to Mesomaska. Fine.
That'll get us to shut up, right?
Just... y'all talk too much. I want action, not words.
You take us to Mesamaska, we try our stuff on the flesh trees, and you'll get your action.
Quicker you get us there, Seltur.
Professor loves to give Seltur action.
With that, you
No,
feel
I don't.
like you hear kind of a in the lights in the room shift as the ship is actually beginning to turn in a very committed manner. Not that little glance to the side that you experienced before, Bright. And what we'll do is we will leave that here as we pull our view out from the interior of the captain's quarters aboard the Repentless, piloted by a shadow dragonborn, former associate, now it's complicated, to the crew. Maybe the first actual crew of the Repentless, unless you count DJ. The sky goes from this frozen moment in time, this pinkish purple, and it would seem from here, Mesotopia opens up to Chroma Company. And the flight west to Mesomaska itself. And we'll find out what happens on the journey there and when they arrive this coming Tuesday. I want to thank you all for hanging out. Nina, thank you so much for the raid. You and your friends are always welcome here. And I hope you had fun playing your own role-playing game with the Stick of Truth. Therefore, yes, that is their craft. It has an interesting history to it. If you're on our Discord, if you have some questions about it, I'm sure myself and maybe the now crew of the Repentless would be happy to answer them. But now what we're going to do is let's raid another roleplay channel. We're going to go raid D20 TV and continue some roleplay fun as Elder Scrolls Online. I feel like MMORPGs. Be well, everyone. When we come back tomorrow, it's going to be a fun day. It'll be the monthly minis raffle. We'll be giving away boxes of pre-painted minis to you who show up, enter the raffle, and if I pull your name, you'll get a box of minis sent for free to a U.S. address. Thank you for hanging out on another Tuesday. I hope you enjoyed it. This was an awesome showcase of in-character conversation. I was trying not to distract as the DM with the flashbacks, but I thought they were poignant. But anyway.
We did major lore drops.
Yes. There was a lot that was
major
covered.
lore drops.
And we'll continue this next week. I'll see you all over in D20 TV's channel. Bye for now, everyone.